So I guess we should
Also,
stop talking about titties.
No, you can still
anybody
talk about
knows,
titties.
if anybody notices my eye looks kind of fucked up, it's because styes are horrible, and you are lucky not to have to deal with them.
Dude, you have all the issues.
You sure do. You have all the issues. That is true. But is anybody surprised? All
I
right.
mean, I got a nice car now.
That helps. That helps.
I got a nice car, and it gets like an average of like 30 miles to the gallon.
See, you're not gonna be doing too bad. You're gonna save money on gas.
Yeah, like I've traveled 100 miles, and it's not even a quarter tank empty.
That's good.
I'm happy with that.
That's so funny.
Guess what that means, Steven?
What's that mean?
That means we don't have to worry about my car fucking up or having to get a rental or borrowing cars anymore.
Well,
You still have to worry about the driver.
That's different. I'm a good driver.
That is the big.
I say that as my previous car just got in a collision, but it wasn't my fault.
You know, in my history with Zach, every time he almost gets in an accident, he always says, "I'm a good driver." That's always
Damn you caused my camera to fall.
My internet is fucking up so bad.
Mine jumped a bit earlier, but it seems to be going okay now.
What's your megabit speed?
I don't know. I haven't checked in a while. No, we've been having issues.
Like faster internet, really quick.
Our entire neighborhood has been having internet issues for like the past 2 weeks.
Oh, did I like lose everybody?
No,
you're
oh, there we go. There we go. Nathan looked like he froze for a second, but he's just being very still.
I'm just fucking with you.
He knows your vision's based on movement.
My superpowers.
You're like a T-Rex.
Well, yep, we lost him there.
Yeah, now we lost. He did say he was changing network.
Coming.
So it could be.
Comes back.
What the hell?
Coming.
Wow.
Womp womp.
Something else.
Just curious, did everybody get their Secret Santa gift yet?
Yes.
Yep.
The person I'm doing still has not gotten their second gift that was supposed to be there yesterday.
Hey-o.
Perfect.
Well, luckily that's just a day that.
Yeah, it's expected. It was originally expected the 8th. Now they're saying the 9th and 10th.
So I didn't.
Still be there beforehand.
I didn't look closely at the label, so I don't. Just in case there was a name on the one that was sent to me, I just knew it wasn't something I ordered. I put it under the Christmas tree, and my big old cat decided to go lay on it. So I hope it's not fragile.
Yeah, KJ got one. It's from. We don't know who it's from. We don't even know if it's the Secret Santa party. It's just unlabeled. There was no message sent to her.
It's a bomb.
It is.
It's like a cat box or something, like a toy, but it's a repurposed box.
Why'd you open it?
We didn't open it.
Oh.
Like the box is a cat.
The box is like a pet box that's clearly been reused. So we're just like, well, I guess this is the gift. I don't know. My person messaged me and said, hey, it just arrived.
I made literally the perfect Kentucky Mule right now. This shit is awesome.
All right.
We should start. Are we ready?
It started.
Yep.
Here we go. On this episode of the Culture Smash Cast,
D.
Oh.
Max.
That was a little underwhelming because Zach sucked.
Literally, it was like Max.
I think there was I expected Zach to do that. I think there was just a little bit of a timing lag between us.
Yeah,
I think
it's a timing lag.
Well, welcome to Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome with
That was very deflated.
You can fix that in editing, right?
Perfect. Yeah, I can fix that in editing. No problem. Here we go. It's the Culture Smash Cast, episode 548 for December the 9th, 2020. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of CultureSmash.tv. Nico?
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
Tina?
Tina Heimbach, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
And Nathan?
Nathan Savino, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
And Zach?
Zach Martin, a guy who keeps forgetting to do his stupid Christmas list article that needs to be done. I just remembered that again.
I can't even talk to you now. Everyone else here did their participation.
I feel
I
bad
had
about
my
that.
in before we did the show, dude.
Mhm.
Although I will say it does not pop up on the website easy. You have to search for it.
It did when it was fresh, but yeah, you do have to search for it now. But if you would like links, I can gladly send you a quick link. But
In my defense, I was buying a car last week, but
no, that doesn't work.
You had before then.
You did.
You did.
You did.
Hey, Steven, real quick. We're episode 548, but the
Yes.
YouTube video says 547.
I'll fix it in post.
Okay.
We are so professional.
there might be many issues tonight, and if
No,
it's gonna be. I have no idea how to fix.
It's gonna be great.
I'm just gonna say we're gonna fix it in post.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be well. Actually, that one is easy to fix in post. That one very easy. Just retyping a number.
That
all
Gus
right.
Johnson video.
So we had, as we were talking about before the show, there's a lot of really great stories this week, and hopefully we'll get to some of them next week, because this week we've got to talk about a really big story that's going to pretty much encompass the entire show. But if not, we have a lot of other stuff to talk about that we can go to. So let me just jump into the box office real quick so we can get started. Number 10 was Die Hard. Someone showing Die Hard? I didn't even know this.
AMC is showing it.
$189,000 it made. It just opened.
AMC is showing it. Our drive-in is showing it. So.
Nice. Because we did have questions whether we'd be allowed to see that in theaters because of the Disney buy. So nice that it's.
At the same time, I don't think Disney would shy away from money.
You will be surprised what Disney will do, because the long-term money is, they put stuff in the vault and make you want it real bad.
Yeah, money's good, but the brand is what matters. What are you waving at?
I heard that, Ada.
Yeah.
Everybody heard that.
Everybody's forgetting I'm recording tonight. All right,
I wouldn't have noticed if Steven hadn't made a big deal out of it.
Well, because the conversation was about to start. I had a cut.
You need a light. You need a on
recording
air.
a light.
You know what?
Yeah.
If the aesthetic of our house was good for that, I would totally.
I mean, come on, it's perfectly fine for it.
I should just put a do not disturb.
Put it right outside the door.
Yeah,
I'll just hang a do not disturb sign on the doorknob.
I mean, you can
put a sock on the doorknob. You're good.
I mean, doesn't that make you feel like something else though? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I think for Ada would probably have some questions about it. Though.
I think she would.
Be like,
All right.
oh, he didn't fold his clothes again.
All right. Number 9 is The Honest Thief. That one made $191,000. It's made $13 million so far. Number 8 is Let Him Go. That's made another $208,000. It's made $9 million so far. Number 7 is Come Play. It made $229,000, almost $230,000, and it's made 8.9 million buckaroos. Number 6 is The War with Grandpa. Made $315,000. It's made $17.6 million. Let's see. Elf is number 5 on the box office this week. It made $320,000. It's made $1.1 million. Number 4, new this week, is All My Life. $370,000 on its opening. Number 3 is Freaky. That one made $474,000. It's made $7.7 million so far. Interesting on this one that it's in the top 10 because it is also on VOD. Number 2 is Half Brothers. That's something new opening this week. It made $700,000. And number 1 is The Croods, A New Age. It made $4.4 million. It's made $20.3 million so far.
I'm pretty sure all these movies are on VOD. The only one I have not seen on VOD on the list is The Croods.
I was going to say, I know The Croods are not. Some of these catalog titles like Elf and Die Hard. Actually, I don't think you can stream Die Hard anywhere right now.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I can in my living room on my Blu-ray player.
Exactly. Or you might be able to buy a digital copy. I'm not sure on that, but you can't stream it like on Hulu or something.
Speaking of Die Hard and Blu-ray,
yeah, Yeah.
I went to our local used store and they had a sealed 4K copy of it.
Yeah, you got so upset about this.
No, I didn't get upset. I was just like, yes.
Oh, did you actually buy it?
Yeah, I bought it. It's like,
because you sent me a message. You said, "Oh, the line's too long. No one's social distancing, so I'm just leaving."
That was okay. So that was Saturday. Sunday.
Oh, so you've gone multiple times.
I went in there. I went hell no and turned right back around.
Which one?
McKay's.
Oh, I went to McKay's last week, but it was also in the middle of the week, so that helped.
Man, it was bad on Saturday. Like I was like, no. And then Sunday, I was like, okay, it's better today. We're just gonna look around real quick. I found Die Hard on 4K.
So I mean, it's a reason.
Credit.
Well, see, that's the reason it's a good buy, because I looked it up and you can get it from Walmart.com for the same price, brand new.
Yeah, the price wasn't the big thing. It was just like, I found a 4K at McKay's.
Well, yeah.
Oh my God.
It is a big deal.
Because they mix their 4Ks in with everything else, so it's like you can't find anything anymore.
Well, that's a little bit on the inside baseball side.
Yeah, you have to go in there with a list.
I always go in there with a list. You can't. I can't binge shop. I'll spend all my money. I'll buy everything.
Okay. I can stay on the McKay's topic a while, but we should probably keep going. We got a lot. Stuff.
We got a big topic to hit. So, what was
my turn?
We start with Nathan. Still, is that what we're doing?
Nathan gives us a palate cleanser before we get to the big stuff.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. So, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Alfred Molina is putting the metal arms back on to reprise his role as the villainous Dr. Octopus. Molina starred in Sam Raimi's 2004 sequel, Spider-Man 2, as Otto Octavius, a brilliant scientist turned eight-limbed villain who pushed Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to the limits. Tom Holland stars in this next installment, which Sony has dated for December 17th, 2021. Director John Watts, who directed Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home, will be back at the helm. Benedict Cumberbatch will appear in the film as Doctor Strange, while Spider-Man mainstays expected to return include Zendaya, Marissa Tomei, Jacob Batalon, and Tony Revolori. Molina's involvement ties together three generations of Spider-Man movies. Jamie Foxx is returning as Electro after playing the role in 2014's The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which starred Andrew Garfield as Spidey. In October, Fox suggested, and since deleted Instagram posts, that three different Spider-Men could appear in the film. Marvel and Sony had no comment.
I love this story. Nico, do you think this is a re-envisioning of Madam Web? I mean, you there? Oh.
Yeah. I think I had a lag. I don't think so. I was going to add on to that. Collider announced yesterday that supposedly they have rumors that Andrew Garfield will be back, and they're working on Tobey Maguire as well, and Kirsten Dunst will also be back. So it definitely looks like Sony and Marvel are trying to capitalize on the success of the Spider-Verse animated movie to make a live-action version of that, which I feel like will be overly bloated.
Well, do you think because isn't the Doctor Strange movie this coming called The Multiverse of Madness?
Yes, it is, and being directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
So that would be a really cool way to spin into that. I don't know if that's the plan. That would be really neat. I'm really excited about Alfred Molina because Doc Ock is hands down the best Spider-Man villain we've had in movies so far.
He's the best Spider-Man villain and probably in the top 3 or 4 best superhero villains, period.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2, his performance in Spider-Man 2 was just so good.
It's so good.
Well, he's just a very talented actor in general.
Yes.
But I think it's brilliant, the concept of combining the different Spidey universes. Like, I think that's brilliant.
I honestly would rather it just be there's like, no, Jamie Foxx is this universe's Electro. Alfred Molina is this universe's Doc Ock. I don't need necessarily a multiverse. It's just like, let them exist in this universe. I think that would be really neat too. But that doesn't seem to be the trajectory they're going in.
Well, I think to me, I feel the opposite because I feel like I kind of like that there's a multiverse happening only because what they could do with Miles Morales down the line. You know,
I think they can bring Miles Morales without a multiverse. They don't really need to. I
don't like the idea of 2 Spider-Mans in New York City. It's too much. You know, I think
that's what current comics are. Like,
I know, and I think it's too much.
But I think I would be fine with that. I feel like going the multiverse especially when DC is already trying to do that very prominently with their next Flash movie, is like very samey. It looks like they're going to be copying a lot of each other, which is already dangerous territory because they're both comic book superhero movie genres. My
only response to that is one of the companies will probably do it well, and the other probably not.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I think this is going to be maybe sort of a hint at the bigger story that we're going to get in this next installment of the cinematic universe, with Doctor Strange kind of being the new center, that is left by Robert Downey Jr., by Tony Stark not being there, and bringing in the Eternals and all this stuff. I think the multiverse is going to play a big part in the overarching story. So next I think phase. This is. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think this is just sort of a hint at what's to come. And, to see, Tobey Maguire back in a Spider-Man movie is cool. I liked Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker a lot. I don't know if I liked him as much. I don't know. I think about it. Spider-Man 2 is still the best Spider-Man movie. So, I don't know. I
did not like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man at all.
I'm excited to see Andrew Garfield.
Oh, now that's the worst Spider-Man
of the evening.
Right? Hot take. Hot take right there. So I don't know. I think it's I think you're right. It could accidentally be overpopulated. It could be bloated. Just depends on how well they handle the script.
I really hope, and I talked to Nico about this earlier, because images were released of the Hawkeye series. And it looks like the Hawkeye series is definitely going more towards the comic book Hawkeye with a hearing aid. It has Kate Bishop. It has Lucky the pizza dog, which I'm all for. But we were talking how it's going to be really hard to do that story with Hawkeye that they've already established, because wife and kids and the whole Avengers thing. So I told him, I'm like, I would really love to see both Doctor Strange and now Spider-Man introduce it in a way that this Hawkeye series is a different multiverse, is a different universe.
Well, and that's why I'm okay with this. Oh wait, I guess Nico dropped. Let me re-invite him, re-add him. We have Doctor Strange's multiverse, and then we also have, since you bring it up, WandaVision, which we know is going to be, maybe a House of M kind of riff. So this whole multiverse thing is going to be huge in this phase.
But I think I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was like, but if anyone can execute it, I think they can execute it.
I agree, only because I thought there were a few times in a couple of the other MCU phases where I thought they were going too comic book and they were going to confuse the masses. Mm-hmm. But they didn't. The masses stuck with it, so I was proven wrong. So I have confidence that this could be cool. I haven't loved either of the previous two Spider-Man movies. I've just liked them. So I have high hopes that this will be a good one. That this will be the one.
As long as they don't do it like Thor Ragnarok, where they try to make it extra campy.
Well, the funny part is Spider-Man is supposed to be funny.
Yeah, there's a difference between funny and campy. Yeah.
Stupid question. Is his name really Dr. Octopus?
No. Well, wait.
Octavius
is his last name.
They call him Dr. Ock.
Yeah, I've heard Doc Ock. I've heard Octavius. I'm just like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone ever say the words Dr. Octopus.
I mean, really?
Yeah, I was like,
in the comics, in the comics, but only as a supervillain name, not as his real life name. His name is Otto Octavius.
Yeah, it's not like Dr. Doom, whose last name is actually Doom. It's a nickname because he's got these 4 metal arms, so he's got 8 limbs like an octopus.
Yeah. So
I like the name. I like going back to Spider-Man 2 because it is so good. I like how they just came up with the name at the Daily Bugle. Oh man, that movie was so good.
Yeah, it's so good. Move on. Yeah. So this was just sort of like you said, a palate cleanser. I anytime there's a Spider-Man story, I got to talk about it because He's best Marvel character.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the meat of the night, the real business. Who's up?
That is going to be me up next. The Hollywood Reporter tells us that Warner Media blindsided the media industry by sending 17 new releases for 2021 to HBO Max next year, when they should also be released to theaters at the same time. Probably not great for their relationships in Hollywood. Christopher Nolan in particular is perturbed. Nolan has worked with Warner Media since Batman Begins, and all of his major blockbusters have been with them since then. And he says of the deal, quote, "Some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking that they were working with the greatest movie studio and woke up finding out they were working for the worst streaming service." Now, this happened on December 3rd with Ann Sarnoff, chair and CEO of Warner Media Studios and Networks Group, and Tony Emmerich, who is Warner Brothers Film Studio chairman, after they called major agencies to announce that they are eliminating the exclusive theatrical window for all 17 of its 2021 movies. That means no exclusives. When it goes to theaters, also going to be on HBO Max. No extra cost, no nothing. It's just you can go to your TV and watch on HBO Max if you want to skip the theater. Hollywood, of course, was not thrilled. Several in the talent realms view this as possible contractual violations affecting profit participants and residual payments, not to mention theater chains like AMC and Regal, particularly not liking this. We've talked ad nauseum about AMC having spats with Universal about its attempts to do similar window shortening and Sherrill's World Tour effects earlier. By the weekend, this past weekend now, following the announcement, Emmerich was calling important filmmakers with projects set for 2022 to try to assure them that those movies wouldn't be dropped for the streaming service without warning. That this is for the pandemic because theaters can't open like they typically are. Possibly, Warner Media may try to pay out some of the other movie studios, their partners, everyone involved, like they did for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, we talked about, Wonder Woman 1984 is being released day and date the same way on Christmas, this Christmas. Warner Media paid tens of millions of dollars to star Gal Gadot and other players involved, the director, to please them and keep them on board for a third film. But so far, no word of such an arrangement for the 17 films in 2021. This could leave Warner Media and parent company AT&T open to all of their production partners in legal challenges, such as we'll get to in a bit with Legendary Entertainment.
So, Tina, you said yours is really short. Do you want to add on to this before we start discussing it? Oh, no sound.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry.
There you go.
I've been gassy, so I don't want to burp.
Go ahead, burp.
Yeah, sure. So among the unhappy talent circle is Suicide Squad writer-director James Gunn, whose HBO Max streaming service release date for his DC film is the same day it comes out in theaters on August 6, 2021. It is recorded that the platform-agnostic Gunn was not pleased when the studio followed its shocking announcement by floating a lackluster formula for compensating him and other profit participants in the Suicide Squad.
So is anybody surprised that the first two filmmakers to come out and speak on this is Christopher Nolan and James Gunn?
No,
Nolan,
not surprised.
Gunn a little bit, but I mean, I'm going to be real. Nolan doesn't have any room to speak here.
What do you mean?
He caused this.
What do you mean?
Well, everybody earlier this summer was like, just wait and release Tenet later. Nolan was the one pushing for a release. It needs to release. Come on, let's get it released. And what happened was you can say it's a bomb, you can say it did well considering the pandemic, but what happened was every movie studio got cold feet immediately and started pushing movies to Christmas, pushing movies to next year. And now they're like, screw it, we're going to do a streaming. If Tenet did not release, this would not have happened.
I actually disagree with that 100%.
I can see Zach's point on this, but to add on to that, to see Tenet be pretty much the only thing in the theater, and people weren't coming to the theater because they didn't feel comfortable going to, and to see the amount of money it did make, you're going to see that carried over into next year. And on top of that, you're going to have an overcrowded box office. So you're splitting very few people amongst a vast majority of movies, and you're just not going to make the money you're intending to make, or at least make some money off of it. Whereas them throwing these movies on to HBO, which they need to add more details. Excuse me. They need to add more details as to, is there going to be a price? Is it just going to be free?
No.
Right. You have HBO now, you have it.
So now you're forcing people to get a subscription.
It is so hard.
Theaters could still play those movies. Yeah. So the pitch is, you can still play that. Not that they necessarily will. Like, you're definitely going to see, like, AMC has been particularly vocal with this kind of thing, so they may very well threaten to not run them. But theoretically, these movies will still be available elsewhere. Also, these movies will only be available on HBO Max for 30 days. So
see, this is such a weird decision. I don't understand. This is the piece that, of all the articles that we have, and each one of you guys has an article that covers a different piece of this problem, except the 31-day window of HBO Max, and then we take it off, and it goes just to theaters. That, to me, it's like the exact opposite of what it should be. I would understand this move more if they cut the window to a week or 2 weeks exclusive and then dropped it into HBO Max. That would make more sense to me.
Yeah, but I understand that one.
By the time it's been out for a month on HBO Max, who gives a flying fuck if it's going to be exclusive to theaters a month later? That's the reverse of what it should be.
Yeah, because a month later, most films are already going out the door.
Yeah.
Especially next year is going to have such a crowded theater cycle. It's definitely going to be out of theaters in a month for a lot of these. I agree.
I have a theory. I have theories on this, and I think the theory is kind of defined in Nico's longer story toward the end of the show. But to speak specifically to, since we're in the director part, the two directors that came out, these are the two guys that can come out. I'm actually surprised that Steven Spielberg hasn't spoke, because they have the clout to be able to speak and not jeopardize projects. I don't see that Christopher Nolan caused this. I'm pretty sure the pandemic caused this.
No, I'm saying Nolan doesn't have any room to speak, in that he's like, well, how dare they do this? It's like, dude, everyone wanted you to delay your film. But Warner Brothers wanted you to delay your film. I think we're the one pushing for it.
Well, I think... Go ahead, Steven.
I was going to say, so let me put it to you this way.
Yeah.
Nolan is not only, one of the top 3 or 4 directors doing projects for Warner Brothers. He's like...
He's on the Golden Crown.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else...
So with that in mind, let me put it to you this way. Do you think the discussions, because there were so many discussions about it going to streaming, were finally... put it out now before they fucking push it or force it to streaming? And he felt like the people who are diehards that it means the most to will at least get to see it the way he meant for them to see it.
But that's different. Nobody was talking about Tenet going to streaming.
That's not true. That's not true.
What I was, from what I was
we talked about it going to streaming.
Like,
God, that would have been awful.
I looked up an article. I think it may have been Variety, but I forget where. But I think, from what I could tell, it was Nolan pushing to go ahead and do a theatrical release.
Yeah.
Rather than later. As opposed to, as Zach said, he could have just asked to hold it and hold it for like 2017, 2021.
Well, in retrospect, he would have made a mistake.
I don't know if that would have been a mistake.
Well, but look at what I don't think if Tenet had not come out, I think we would still be dealing with what's happening right now. I think we would still be dealing with
I think if Tenet had not come out, though, we wouldn't have the shotgun approach from Warner Brothers. I think maybe some of the movies that are coming out next year would be in this situation. But basically, it's happened like this. It was a twofold step process, essentially. You got the Tenet experience with Warner Brothers. Let's go ahead and try a theatrical experience, and that ultimately failed domestically. It worked internationally for them fine. That's good, but not here. And then the next step of the plan was Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was already previously announced to be day and date released, HBO Max, and also on in theaters on Christmas.
AMC was cool with it. They said, okay, for this one, we'll do it.
Yeah. And they also, as I mentioned, paid out everyone in the movie so much money because they most likely we're going to get ticket sales out of that. And they're not going to get any more because of the less likely ticket sales because it's going to go to streaming. And then doing that process, it seems like they just, Warner Media decided, you know what, I like doing what we did with Wonder Woman, but let's cut out the negotiation bit. Let's just do it for everything next year.
Well, I think they should have waited to see if they saw an increase in subscriptions for Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think if this had come out post Wonder Woman, like Nathan was saying, hey, the numbers are there. Hey, let's go ahead with this. It would be like, oh, they're going for it. Whereas this is
and not only that, I think if they did that and not all of their films, not all of 2021, because like we're going to get to in Nathan's story, not everyone that works with Warner Media to release their films, so because Warner Media and Warner Brothers will distribute films that they didn't actually make, are going to be necessarily happy with this deal.
So let me throw a conspiracy theory out there because it's not validated, but I actually feel like this is probably true. It's been the feeling I've had. Is no one else feeling deja vu with this?
I mean, I remember, what was it, Universal wanted to do this for Tower Heist? In 2011.
Universal did, well, but hang on. Trolls World Tour, they dropped, like Warner Brothers is dropping, Wonder Woman. And then they said, oh, well, we're going to just do this from now on, or whatever. Theaters lost their shit. Behind closed doors, deals were made. There is part of me that feels like that this is a negotiation tactic, using the press and the public as a negotiating tool, just like Universal did to crush that distribution window. Because
I feel like,
go ahead. I was just gonna say, because there's so many contracts that they would be breaking. I mean, you think about a movie like, I don't know like the 18 films that are coming out. I don't know I haven't read up enough to know specific contracts that are happening there, but I know, like, for example, Mission Impossible, that franchise, Tom Cruise takes a pay cut for back-end money off ticket sales. He's got to not be the only one doing that. So when ticket sales don't happen, they're in breach of contract and they're going to get sued.
So that's why they paid off all the Wonder Woman people, because they get the Gal Gadot is going to get ticket sales off Wonder Woman 84.
Exactly.
And I think I had a point. Where was it? The negotiation. Oh yeah, that's why they would pay off people like in that situation. But the thing that makes me less skeptical, or more skeptical about that theory, is the details. Like Universal said, we're just going to do this. But Warner Media, it came out like, we were going to do this for all 17 films, like film titles named that they're like all 17 films, Dune, Godzilla versus Kong, all these movies that they have specified we're going to be doing this for. It's harder to take that back once you put a name to it. So I think they're in it. Also, Warner Media is a bit of a bigger player than Universal. Maybe not by much, but it is.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I think they're going to stick to their guns. I don't think this is a negotiating tactic. I think this is what they want to do.
So that's going to get into a greater story, a bigger feeling I have about this, and like I said, we're going to get to it. But you start thinking about, okay, so they're not going to charge a premium to get this. You're just going to have to sign up for HBO Max, and they're going to have.
On that note, there is no more free trial.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Zach has that story. But so they're going to have to make enough money off subscriptions to not only be profitable in the film, but to pay off any back-end agreements that they've got.
Well, something tells me like they see that they're going to make more money going this route than they were throwing it into the theaters. So it's like, why would you do it? Unless you see some sort of trend or profitability to pay your debts.
And it's something that I don't think we actually cover here is this is only domestically. Internationally,
that's right. Internationally, it's going still theaters. It's not
theaters
streaming.
First. Yeah, exclusive to theaters first. Because they did see with Tenet that they could make their money back just in China. because they've got a big enough population there of moviegoers.
I mean, the thing that kills me most about this is not every film on the Warner lineup was I looking forward to, like Tom and Jerry, but like, damn man, I really wanted to see Dune in IMAX. Damn man, I really wanted to see The Matrix 4 in a theater.
Well, but there's, if you start looking at it as just specifically your own view of it, you'll be able to. There's nothing that says you can't choose to go to the theater.
Are you going to go to the tiny IMAX screen in Cool Springs, or do you want to go to the closed Regal with the big screen and the nice overhead audio?
Okay. Well, the hope is, and all we can do is hope at this point, honestly, that we get to the vaccine and they can get back open by next summer.
I mean, I'm with you on that. I'm just like,
I mean, we have the luxury to
it all
live in a
depends
city.
upon if Cineworld says, yeah, we'll actually show it. Because if they don't, and AMC
now that is a fair point. But the problem is, it goes back to what Nico said. Cineworld or AMC, they can say, screw you, Universal. We're not going to show your films. This is what you're going to do. But Universal puts out, 3 or 4 films a year. Warner Brothers is putting out more films a year. Can they afford to turn away all of those films? Probably not, honestly. So I think that they would, depending on how this all shakes out, they would still show them.
I mean, this is a hell of a bet, and this is also a toothpaste out of the tube moment. Once you do this, there's no putting the toothpaste back in. You put a cap on it, but the toothpaste is out.
Yeah. It's like the story says. Emmerich tried to assuage filmmakers with 2022 releases. Like, oh, no, we're not doing this 2022, this is just for 2021.
Yeah,
like,
you can say that all you want. Yeah. There's nothing that says that's not on the
no one's gonna have faith in Warner Brothers that they won't do it again.
So when you guys between things, we have people in the chat room.
We have Deborah and the Nashville Film Institute.
Yeah, that are chatting. So, but the biggest thing. And I just went through this with a project over at Serial Midnight. This coming up year, because I know that Nathan and Michelle, who listens to the show, were big proponents of this. What you guys wanted a year ago when we were talking about this, you wanted day and date releases of movies and VOD. Is this year is a mirage? What's coming up next year is a mirage. You're going to get $250 million, half a billion dollar movies released direct to VOD, but it'll be the only year that happens. Possibly some into 2022, because if this, like Zach says, if the toothpaste is out of the tube and we're not turning back, you're going to see the budgets go from here all the way to the floor, which you can't even see on my camera, because they don't make $250 and $350 million movies for VOD.
I mean, I'm kind of excited that we're going to see smaller, if that's the case, you're going to get smaller, more independent thought movies. But does that mean the quality goes down?
Well, okay.
It's not like we get that level, that kind of movies at VOD currently.
Right,
like,
we don't.
It's not like we get low budget, super artsy A24 films direct to VOD. They go to theater first.
Mm-hmm. The problem that I see there is if everything is going to VOD, and I look at this one, as a filmmaker, is the streaming market is already super muddy as a creative. You could throw your movie out there and Netflix, for example, doesn't give you any marketing money. Your movie better go viral because they give you no money to market. So you could throw your movie out there and it just disappears into the ether. And if you're now competing with all the big studios for those same spaces,
bye-bye.
So
bye-bye.
Michelle just wrote in the chat room, it's not what I wanted, it's what was going to happen. Inevitably, it would have happened 10 to 15 years from now. It's just this has fast forward a lot of things.
Well, she says that, but you guys both were saying it would just be more convenient for you if it could be VOD on the same.
But here's the thing. Yes, it is more convenient, and a lot of people do want more convenience. That does not mean it should take away from people who enjoy going to the theater.
Well, but you can't have it both ways.
But you can if they're offering the options for people to get it at home. And then if you choose to go to theater. I enjoy the theater experience. I love going to the theater. But there's a lot of stuff that's like, you know what? I'll just rent this or I'll just buy this. I'm not looking at it from the quality or whatever. I'm not looking at CGI effects or sound editing, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at it as an entertaining story. It's what you're going to view for. Now, if you want that good quality, I have a feeling they will make a budget movie, but you're going to only get the quality if you purchase the actual print or copy.
Yeah.
We have to buy the film prints.
So excellent hand movements for our audio.
Because I was processing it, I couldn't. I'm like, it's in here and it's not coming out.
Nathan does all of his processing with his hands. So the other issue that you could have is like you just had mentioned, Nico, that A24 little independent movies still go to theaters first. You could very well destroy that market with this. The only thing that goes to the theater is the big budget Marvel movie. It could literally end up being, and I've seen some arguments for this being a situation where, let's say you have a 16 cinema theater. Well, in order for them to stay successful, if this is the method, they cut down to 4 screens. And they go to IMAX size screens and higher end audio. Well, they're not going to show, They're
not going to show Midsommar in IMAX.
8th grade in IMAX.
Or 8th grade.
So those movies will get dumped to streaming and disappear. That's what's going to, that's the big bad of it. Is right now you can go to our 16 cinema theater and 12 of those screens are showing big budget Hollywood movie to pay for the other 4 that are showing those small independent films. That goes away. That goes away with this. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it is destructive creatively. And that's the thing that's been bothering me from the beginning. And we'll see. Maybe Warner Brothers holds to what they say and their 2022 movies still come out in theater. But if they find some way of being successful in 2021,
if they find some way of making a better profit by circumventing the theaters, you can absolutely bet they will.
For sure.
Oh yeah, and that's business.
Well, the problem is you're crossing business and art. So the artist always.
It's also a very short-term gain.
You see this in across all art, though. Art always suffers.
Well, and the perfect example is the music industry has never been the same since Napster 20 years ago. It has never recovered. You have Taylor Swift and 3 others that make a lot of money, and everybody else grabs for what's left.
Ninja Sex Party and Tour barely scrape by. Yeah.
Exactly.
We have another comment in the chat from Mark Wetherell. Sorry if I missed it.
Yeah, that's Mark. Yeah.
At least HBOMAX will be streaming these movies in 4K, HDR, DV, Atmos, etc.
That is
might be compressed, but better than HD.
That is
low bit rate Dolby Digital.
This is the better thing. It's like HBO Max is what $12.99 a month, and there has been 0 4K accessibility or Dolby Vision or Atmos, anything like that is just a no.
So we're gonna have to see what that looks like, because Disney Plus's version of 4K
it's not good.
Is trash. It actually looks worse than the 1080 to me. It's darker and it's got higher detail, but it's generally darker, and the colors to me are mushy.
It depends on the stream itself, but the majority of the time it is.
Yeah. So I mean, kudos to them for trying, but also don't hold your breath on maintaining that $12.99 a month for that, because Netflix has already set the standard for upcharging you $5 a month to get the 4K streams. So I don't believe it'll stay that way.
He proceeds to add, as a home theater geek, I welcome as a home theater geek, I welcome the at-home streaming experience if we get great quality.
Well, I wish that great quality was actually great and not just like a 1080p Blu-ray.
Yeah, because that's generally what 4K looks like streamed. It just looks like really good 1080p.
A 4K stream is nowhere even near a 4K disc.
And the other side of
it,
so I was actually looking at some other people that were saying the same thing. So I put, just in gear, not in the room, I put $25,000 in gear in my home theater space. I'm going to be paying for that for the rest of my life. Not everybody can do that. So it's not really, that's a really small segment of the population.
But I'm going to say as the
let's move to the next story real quick.
I have a $500 TV that's 4K without HDR and a $300 sound system.
All right. So Legendary Entertainment, the production company that co-financed Dune and Godzilla vs. Kong, may take legal action against Warner Brothers over the studio's decision to send its movies to HBOMAX at the same time they debut in cinemas. Legendary financed a significant portion of Dune, which cost roughly $175 million, and Godzilla vs. Kong, which carries a price tag around $160 million. Yet the company was largely kept out of the loop that their films would be included in Warner Brothers' plan to be sent to their streaming service. Sources familiar with the situation say top brass at Legendary are trying to have conversations with Warner Brothers regarding its upcoming films. Legendary and Warner Brothers have frequently collaborated over the years on titles such as Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, the Hangover movies, and the Godzilla franchise. Legendary is hoping to first negotiate a more generous deal, but isn't taking legal action off the table should the two companies fail to come to a compromise. One possibility is that Warner Brothers would buy films outright from Legendary. No legal challenge has been filed yet, but a suit could materialize early this week. It's unclear.
Go ahead.
It's unclear what legal grounds Legendary would use to challenge the decision, though it would likely involve some breach of contract.
Yeah, see, this was leaning into the question I had earlier, is when you look at so many of these films are co-financed. It's not like Warner Brothers pays for their movie. They've got investors. And those investors aren't looking to break even, obviously. They don't want to just make their money back. They had some feeling of profit that was going to happen off ticket sales. So how do they determine what they should be paid if Warner Brothers is going to try to pay them out?
You know what's really funny about all this? Those budgets are actually way lower than I thought they were going to be. I was expecting 250 for both.
Yeah. Well, I expected a higher one for
At least 200, right?
I expected 200 for Dune.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I'm
it's just a lot of sand.
Well, they're cheaper.
It's a lot of sand. Yeah, so what's the plan there? And that's what it makes me, why I wonder if this is secretly a negotiation tactic, because it doesn't feel like they're prepared for it at all. They just said, fuck it, let's just do this. It's like they were having cocktails one night and over a shot of cheap bourbon, they were like, what we should do? We should just put them all out. We should just do it. It doesn't feel like, as much as it seems like they've thought it out, they haven't, obviously.
I disagree on that one, and we'll get to that more in my last story, 2 stories from now, because I really feel like this is actually something that they were wanting to do. This is their end goal, and they don't care about pissing people off. They are not. Warner Brothers does not seem afraid to write a check to get people off their back so that they could do this.
I mean, to me, if it's a business move, they must have some set plans or some trends they're following or something to go off to make them think it's going to work.
All right, let's progress, because I want to get to Nico's story. Has a lot of juice in it for us to talk about in regards to this stuff. Let's go to the next story.
Is it Zach or Nico?
Real quick, I've heard like a rumor it's just to try to get the HBO numbers up because the streaming service isn't doing well. But then again, I just also read something where it's like the numbers were doing great. So
we're gonna get there. Who did we decide was next? Zach.
Zach's next.
Me.
Zach's,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Pour one out for the streaming service trial. CNET reports the HBO Max is no longer offering users a free week of watching its content, following both Disney Plus and Netflix's example earlier this year. This change probably not coincidentally, comes just weeks before December 25th, when Wonder Woman 84 is set to launch on the service. Well, it can't compete with free. The $14.99 you'll now have to pay to see the movie compares favorably to the price of theater ticket. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's not the first streaming service to do that. Disney Plus did just a few weeks before it started streaming Hamilton. And Disney Plus showed that people joined a ton for just to see Hamilton. So, hey, if it worked for them. So that kind of sucks. But then again, the free trial, I don't know. it never really bothered me personally. You'd always get an idea um, if you like the service or not, and then if you didn't, you were just out like what, $8, $10,
Yeah.
and then you just canceled the following month. So it's not like you had like, oh gosh, now I'm stuck with it 3 months.
So
it's not like you're in a contract.
Exactly. Yeah. But this answered, I really put this story in here because it answered a question that Nathan, you asked last week when we were kind of discussing something else. What if people just set up different email accounts and can keep doing the free trial every time a movie comes up they want to see? Well, they answered it. You can't do it anymore because they don't offer a free trial anymore. I'm not surprised.
I'll tell you, I'm guilty of that. Back in like a few years ago, I would have a different email account and I'd be like, okay, I want to watch this show. I'm going to binge this, blah, 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 blah. I admit it. I used to rob the system.
Well, and the thing this doesn't fix still is the fact
that... would that make Nathan an honest thief?
It makes him an honest thief now.
Or a dumbass.
Well, that too. But it still doesn't solve the fact that we can share passwords, you know, which we do on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. I know all of us do. But yeah.
Or just set up, other account profiles too.
Exactly.
I mean, all these things have profile, like Netflix and HBOMAX have like different profile settings, Disney Plus. So they know people do this.
Oh, if you logged into my Netflix profile right now, you would think that it looks like an old Windows phone interface. There's so many cubes up there with different people's profiles that use my account. Because I don't care. If you swap something cool with me, I'll swap that with you. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. I think we should have known that was coming. But like Zach said, I mean, you're out $15 to try it, isn't it? That's the cheapest you can get it now.
You get it for a whole month.
It's $14.99. It's the cheapest, right?
No, I think like that. I mean, if you're talking cheapest, Disney Plus is what, $7?
No. I mean for HBO Max.
For HBO, yes, it's $14.
It was $12.99, but it might be $15.
So I can tell you what did happen is I was getting a really good deal with the Spotify HBO Max combo that expired. They didn't let me re-up it. Yep.
Oh well, I get it through my AT&T bill.
Well, see, so now I got to figure out how I'm going to do not HBO Max. I'm sorry, it's not HBO Max. It's Hulu. Yeah, it was Hulu and Spotify. Yeah, so I got to figure out if I'm going to subscribe to Hulu separately or do something else.
Or because you can hop on my train.
I'm already on your YouTube train.
That's okay. Zach's on my Hulu. Zach and KJ are on my Hulu. So is Katie.
I seriously think we use the Hulu like once every 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're on Zach's HBO Max train.
Hulu's very good. Actually, Hulu is really good. All right, who's got the next one?
That is me. This was. I want to let everyone know, Steven, when you put this in our script, it was copied from the straight article, 11 pages.
Yeah. I warned you. I'm like, there's a long story coming.
Yeah, I cut it down to 1. Hopefully I got everything I wanted. Yeah. But if anyone here wants more insight about how AT&T and Warner Media owned by AT&T, got into the situation we have just spent most of this episode discussing, CNBC has a thorough breakdown of the creation of HBO Max and the evolution of Warner Media's current strategy going back to December 2018.
That article is highly recommended by me, by the way. It really covers everything.
In December 2018, then Warner Media CEO, now parent company AT&T CEO, John Stankly, rejected then HBO CEO Richard Pepler's HBO's future vision for an exchange of a more ambitious, full-fledged Netflix competitor. Pepler wanted to do more reasonable growth, combo deals with HBO and Showtime, and that would bring a reasonable growth, but not what Stankly really wanted, something that would basically kill Netflix. CNBC notes that some insiders within the AT&T and Warner Media realms question Stankly and current Warner Media CEO Jason Keller's media knowledge, them both being seen primarily as being from the tech industry as opposed to the entertainment industry. Investors seem to be cooling right now as well, as AT&T dumped so much money to buy Time Warner and DirecTV. But that could change now that we've discussed Warner Media's 2021 movie release strategy. HBO Max, however, has had a rocky start with slower than hoped subscriptions and initially with a confusing naming model at the beginning with HBO Max, HBO Go, HBO Now.
It's terrible.
That has been fixed, but didn't help at the start. Warner Media also conducted several layoffs, typically not a good sign. But now they're going all in with the aforementioned day-and-date release strategy for at least 2021, as well as trying to get some new content, such as they're picking up Conan O'Brien from TBS, pulling him over to HBO Max. Still, currently only 8.6 million people have signed up to activate service on HBO Max since it launched in May. That's compared to Disney, which has signed up 73.7 million for Disney Plus in less than a year. It doesn't help that HBO Max launched without really a tentpole show or strategy, as Disney Plus had with The Mandalorian. But AT&T still seems to be going full stream ahead, also passing off offers to buy other parts of the company, like offers to buy DraftKings. So they are really putting their heels in deep, hoping that this is going to work.
So what they essentially did is they, kicked the theatrical arm, which is Warner Brothers, in the ass and said, you're going to take a loss, essentially, which is what they're going to end up doing in this next year.
Yeah.
In the hopes that it pulls in enough subscribers to build them up to the Netflix level. Because for some reason, this particular guy who has no media experience before this, all he wants to do is kick the ass of Netflix for some reason.
Yeah, Singley came over from AT&T to Warner Media, back to AT&T. And you're right. The goal seems to be just like, we want to beat Netflix, which is silly. While I like HBO Max as a service, like I go to it, it's got great options. I like the shows there. It really seems like this is just going for short-term gains. They are, like Steven said, just kicking the legs out from under the movie division to try to get some gains. But I think, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think this is going to be like a short-term. I think it's going to be short-term gains, but I don't think this is a short-term strategy. I think this is what they plan to do just going forward. Yeah. I don't think they are going to, unless things blow up for them, which I kind of expect will happen in some respect. I think they want to just keep doing this for the movie side be damned.
Yeah. But you know what's really kind of, I think in the long term is really going to hurt this whole thing is when you talk about the TV side of it. So like I've been thinking more and more about this, playing with HBO Max and that kind of thing. I really like HBO Max as far as selection of movies because they have those Warner Brothers movies and they have some archive titles and things.
They have the Criterion collection. They have classic movies. Dude, I've discovered some movies. I'm like, holy shit, this is good.
But what I don't like them for is something that I should like them for, which is TV. Like I've learned, like I've noticed that the way they blend TV, like especially in their what they push to you, they push a lot of things that I have no care for.
Yeah, and that is true.
It's not good, and it should be amazing though, because one of the parts in this article that you didn't really get to, and I'm fine with that because the article is so long, is there was an era in which filmmakers like the quote unquote Christopher Nolan, like elitist, like snottier filmmakers, wouldn't touch TV because it was TV. That was what you did if you couldn't get Hollywood work until HBO. HBO came along and showed that they did prestigious TV. They gave you like cinema grade storytelling, and they were an award-winning creative space that these guys could come and build and create. Well, that kind of has been gutted and ripped apart now. You could already see them leaning into like reality type stuff, and the really overly popular. I hate to say this because Tina might punch me through the screen, but
here it comes because I know you're right.
The freaking, like, what do you call it? The murder documentaries, instead of like pushing the envelope.
Murder documentary.
Yeah, the murder documentaries. The only things that they have that are prestigious TV are the little things that are still happening over on the HBO channel that are being brought in.
Well,
So
yeah, that's the thing. Like HBO Max, well, and that is kind of the difference between HBO Max and Disney Plus. Like Disney Plus is its own thing. HBO Max is essentially the streaming version of HBO with other stuff. Yeah, and that's why there is no real tentpole show to HBO Max because it's an HBO show. Like there have been shows on HBO that have been fairly big shows on HBO that have been released since Max is out, but they don't. I mean, it's kind of hard to draw people to HBO Max if they watch them on HBO.
I mean, I really enjoy The Undoing and The Flight Attendant.
Yeah, the flight attendant though, the flight attendant is the only one of those two that's an HBO Max show. The Undoing was on HBO.
And the article does go into a bit about that too, because the hope was that there would be more crossover, but it doesn't seem like HBO Max is pulling or adapting people from HBO in the way that they hoped. I mean, ultimately that boils down to their subscriber numbers aren't great because everything that they don't have anything original on HBO Max. Well, all the HBO stuff is on HBO, and all the other stuff people can usually get elsewhere.
And my point is, the creative community would come to HBO to do cool stuff, but with what they're doing this next coming year, and you already see some of the like top filmmakers in the creative community scoffing at it. Do you think they're going to come to HBO Max to be creative and do things? I don't know. In the long term, I don't know. And that's sad because HBO really is sort of that place that Matthew McConaughey decides to reinvigorate his career and commit to a TV series, or Nicole Kidman, these kind of creative.
Or where you discover a love for, an actress that you never would have known otherwise.
Well, I mean, yeah, but when you have that actress that you've discovered, there's probably a writer or a producer or a director that is like amazing at what they do that came to HBO because of that creative culture that they've had for so many years. Starting way back, like the resurgence of TV was credited, The Sopranos was credited for the resurgence of the golden age of TV.
So I guess part of this is also, it is the competing visions of, I guess, what HBO Max should be. If they want it to be a Netflix competitor, ultimately they're going to have to shoot HBO the channel in the foot. Yeah. Because how do you have you have to have original prestige content on the platform to draw people to the platform. You have to have
original and exclusive content.
Exclusive. Yeah. Because Disney Plus has Mandalorian, and that's what helped draw. They got Hamilton, that draw people in because you can't watch it on the Disney Channel. So Correct. They have to get content that they don't have on HBO. And
don't you see?
HBO, yeah.
Do you see their long-term goal? And I do, that they want to try to do away with HBO altogether.
That's what they.
Yeah.
If they want this to be Netflix, they have to shoot HBO in the foot.
They have to shoot. What they're trying to do though is shoot HBO in the foot and Warner Brothers as a film creative company.
But are they seeing people stray away from cable and going into streaming services? Because
not theirs, because their numbers suck.
Right, not theirs. That's the thing. And I feel like the confusion over what they're doing, is it the place that you go see prestige content? Or because, I mean, like I have Netflix. We all have Netflix. But Netflix, 80% of Netflix stuff is junk TV. It just is.
Well, and they're unreliable. They're unreliable because they can't.
Yeah. Now you have like the show.
It's C-grade at best.
Yeah. And people are fine with that because sometimes you just want to go and you want to binge watch the Great British Baking Show. I watch it too. But it's not the place you go for prestige content. Before HBO Max, that was probably Hulu, honestly.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think both of the articles that I read, but the Hollywood Reporter one, the CNBC one, it was probably in some aspect of every article here, but I don't think any of us actually quoted it. But so many of the articles talk about how important content is. Content is king in Hollywood and everywhere. Content is what matters. And we're looking at, like Steven just said, AT&T right now is pushing HBO Max to the detriment of Warner Brothers and HBO. they are pushing a streaming service to the detriment of every part of their company that produces content.
We've seen this happen before.
That will be bad.
Yeah, we've seen this happen before. We've Orion Pictures and New World Cinema and all these other companies. Carolco, the company that's responsible for Terminator 2. We've seen these companies get crushed because of similar goals. You know, anytime I think your goal is to crush another company and to not just be successful in and of yourself, I think that's a red flag. I think they should be looking to, I think you can look at yourself as a niche company that has a killer content package and dedicated subscribers and be successful and make a lot of money and not worry about them. Now, once you get to the corporate level that AT&T is, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's the problem where they are right now. So can they grow HBOMAX while killing everything else that they have? And the other question is too, and I didn't put this article in our show notes because it's straight up an opinion, but there's an article that I did post in our group talking about how it's really bad that the company that's providing us content is also the company that's providing us our internet access. I mean, if you could be looking at, all kinds of legal issues with that down the line. We've seen that before too. We've seen that with with Bell South in the 80s. And that's why we have AT&T the way we have it now. So I don't know. I think this in the long term is probably a bad thing.
Boy, it's just a bunch of fun news tonight, boys.
Hey, but Alfred Molina's coming back as Doc Ock.
Yes! That is the one thing that all of us except Zach are happy about.
I'm just like, all right. Dr. Octagonopus is coming back? Okay.
Did you say Octagonopus?
Does anybody get the reference, or am I that old?
You're that old.
You're that
You're the
old.
youngest one here.
That's true. Yeah.
I still feel old.
So, I don't know. Was that our last story in this grouping?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I guess what is everybody like Nathan, what is your final thoughts on this?
On just HBO in general?
Yeah, on the whole thing.
I think they're doing it for a specific reason to somewhat save money, knowing that theaters, especially towards the middle of the year, end of the year, even when they majority were open, were not profitable. And when you look at so much content that was pushed and you had new content that was coming up anyways, why have so much clutter in the theaters and not make nearly the amount of money you might be able to make off a subscription service?
Tina, what do you think?
Statistically, it just doesn't make sense financially. It's like I don't know what goes on the back end as far as like who they're consulting for these ideas, whether they're purely doing it for a profit gain or if they're actually being magnanimous enough to think of the people's health. Highly doubt. But just every angle that I've looked at it, it does not make sense financially, numbers wise, because I'm a numbers gal. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Zach, what do you think?
Thanks. I hate it.
Ian.
Being real.
So close to saying that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much me. But I mean, I'd be really curious and a little inside baseball here, but I'd be really curious in like Jason or Zach's opinion, since they work at like our art house.
Yeah, and I'll probably find that out at some point.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think the art house would probably be safer in respects because they're not reliant on like Warner Brothers.
Arguably, you could see a path to smaller art houses. If this really is the doom and gloom of the Cineplex, you could see a success happening in art house theaters because these movies have to show somewhere when they do show them. And I could see our Belcourt Theater or whatever art house you have taking that deal and just showing them. So I don't know. Nico, what is your overall thought on the whole thing?
I think it's I feel like very much it is trying to chase the shiny new toy. Not that Netflix is a new toy, but it is trying to jump headfirst into a streaming market without securing the relationships you need to maintain your content thoroughfare. There should have been way more conversations with involving the creatives on the HBO side, on the Warner Brothers side, with their studio partners like Legendary, going into here's what we want to do. I think it's doing every movie carte blanche, just all of their movies for 2021 is short-sighted. I understand the reason. Spacing it out, the release schedule would be better, as would doing specific ones. Backload the back of the year. Like put everything in the back as you can to get past vaccines. I understand this is a crazy situation we're in with the pandemic, and I fully support any movie I was hesitantly or like hopefully like so super excited for being pushed a year, 2 years as far as it needs to be to see it safely. I think that would have been a better idea. And movies that need to be out, that's a great option for streaming. I think going all in on streaming is short-sighted, and you're going to piss off a lot of your partners, and you're not going to get them back, or at least
and it seems like they're going streaming mostly for United States. And if you look at it, if they're going to release internationally and make money internationally in theaters internationally, okay, cool. But we're in a society where if it gets released internationally and we don't have access to it, you're going to have pissed off people over here. So they had to put it on the streaming service. It's got to come out at the same time.
We had issues with the Marvel movies that got released in China and in the UK before they came out here. That's just what happens.
I don't, and also again, a lot of those movies could be pushed. You could push dates. Look at New Mutants. It got pushed 2 years. It could just happen. So yeah, just keep pushing it until it's safe, until it's a safe time for it to come out. And movies that aren't as dependent on a theatrical release like that, or ones where it's reasonable to make a deal, like Wonder Woman, for instance, doing a deal with your partners to make sure they are okay with this. Like they've paid them off, and that's fine. If you need to pay people off to make them happy, pay them off to make them happy, because that's the point. Don't piss off the people who make your content, because otherwise you don't have content. And then at that point, we all suffer. So
yeah, I literally think that they could lose Christopher Nolan over this, because he could easily go to any studio out there and ask them, will you guarantee me a theatrical window? And any other one,
no. He's going to have to ask him for more than that. He's going to be like, I want to shoot an IMAX film. You're going to project it on IMAX film.
Well, I mean, the point being, he could do that.
Yes.
And any studio would take him up on that.
Yeah.
But how many IMAX theaters are going to survive this?
Christopher Nolan is going to fund every IMAX theater in the country.
Well, I think if this is like the new norm, which I don't think it is, but if it is, the IMAX theaters will be the ones that do survive it, because the people that do go to the theater are going to be looking for the best, most amazing experience they can get. It's like
the most specialty experiences.
Yeah, it's like going to the amusement park or going to something like that. That's the way it'll be treated. So the IMAX theaters would
an advanced screening, or not advanced screening, an advanced movie going experience. So then they'll just get rid of the small rooms.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. A 16 cinema theater goes down to 4. And they have all IMAX screens.
Cineplexes are going to compress. You're not going to have as many multiplexes, or they're not going to be as big. Like Steven said, they're just going to consolidate to be bigger screens, semi-IMAXs.
So my feeling is really, and my closing thought on it is really the opposite. Like, I don't believe I guess the opposite of Nathan, in that I don't believe they're doing this because they need to make money on these films. In fact, I believe they are preparing themselves to take a big loss, because they're not going to make enough money on subscriptions. Even if they blow their subscriptions up, they're not going to make enough money in the short term to recover their cost. And they're going to have to pay everybody off in advance. So I think it is them trying to have a long-term subscription play, hoping that people will sign up and stay signed up.
I agree.
And by doing that, they're doing exactly what you said. They're destroying their creative community. So if I sign up because you're getting 17 films that I want to see, but you don't have the creative community after that to keep me signed up, I'll flip-flop and go back to Hulu or wherever. So I think it's cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Well, you don't know that the creative.
There we go. That's the one.
Behind.
I was looking for that phrase.
What?
Yeah. I don't know what.
You don't know that creative community is going to stop giving content.
Well, I think
we don't know what's going to happen in any way.
Yeah.
That's our theory.
Yeah, it's a theory. It's a theory. But if you look at the response that this announcement has received, the only one who's seems to be excited about it is Patty Jenkins. When you've got
who got paid,
when you've got two other A-list directors for the studio already blowing up about it, one of them saying it's the worst company of all of them, that's big talk. That's big talk. So I think, and if I come to you as a creative, as a filmmaker, and I say, okay, so whatever I make for you, you're only going to give me $10 million to make it, and it's going to go straight to HBOMAX, or I can go to Universal, who has a great deal with AMC, and they'll give me $150 million and guarantee me a 17-day theatrical exclusive where I can make box office on the back end. I'm fucking going there.
Well, on the counterpoint, would it not also maybe open up to new directors, new points of content, new...
You know what? You're absolutely right.
No.
Hey, Jimmy, you want to make a movie?
No.
Because if aren't going to trust the new directors.
You've got to prove yourself just like you do any other time. You got to make 5, 6, 7 other things that get you some critical attention before you get that opportunity.
And I know like a lot of the talk has been focused on the directors and writers, but then you get like the special effects studios who have time and time again been screwed over by studios because of push release or it didn't make as much.
Oh, you're breaking up.
It would.
Whoa.
So their paychecks are going to get cut severely. Hair and makeup are going to get cut severely.
No, 100% because if they cut the budget down to $10 or $20 million, like a typical like streaming project, then they're not building sets. They're shooting on a green screen.
Yeah.
So all of those prop masters, all that stuff goes away.
Michelle put in, this is a business, and actors, actresses, directors, and producers are into this because they love joy and creative things, but they also have to pay bills and a lifestyle to maintain. They're not going to turn away and revolt.
Yeah, and that lifestyle is not going to get paid for by a streaming service the way it gets paid for by a $150 million budgeted film. Tom Cruise cannot go and do a Mission Impossible and expect to make his $20 million from HBO Max. It just
not only that, but if they're setting a precedent now for how they are going to be treating their directors and actors and staff,
you're not to be trusted.
Yeah, that gives carte blanche for other studios to do it, to turn around and do it as well. So they have to take a stand now and saying, no, screw this. Or they're just saying, sure, to future down the line. So
for sure.
Let me ask y'all a hypothetical here.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman comes out. It's a mega success. HBO is
I highly doubt Wonder Woman.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, give him the hypothetical.
Hypothetical. Wonder Woman 84 comes out, mega success, and Warner Brothers doubles down on this. It's included in the subscription. Disney is still holding on to Black Widow.
Yeah.
If Disney said, all right, here's Black Widow, $29.99, do you think people would pay for it? And two, how would that be?
As long as they don't announce 2 months later, it's going to be on there for free.
Well, it's going to be on there for free.
It's going to. I mean, that goes back to Tina's point when we talked about Mulan.
Which I watched. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, if we're still in the pandemic, no one's wanting to pay $29.99 for a freaking movie. Yeah. No one's wanting to do that.
I did.
I didn't.
I'm sorry you did. We took advantage of that.
I took advantage of Nathan's.
And I loved it.
Dude, I turned it off 45 minutes. It was so goddamn awful.
That makes one of us.
Fucking cinematography and editing was fucking awful.
Zach, you need to shut the hell up. I wish I was as strong as you right then.
Dude, they break the 180-degree rule like 4 times in a row.
You know who else breaks the 180-degree rule?
Stanley Kubrick.
I'm a team.
Some fucking no-name director from Mulan.
You know who else does it? And even have to fix it in post editing.
I did it on my films.
You do it, Beach.
Yeah, because I don't do that shit anymore.
Because you're trying all this stupid stuff and they're like,
hey, a movie with $250 million shouldn't be making those mistakes.
Oh man. Regardless of,
thought I was having a damn aneurysm.
I did too, because you started messaging me. Regardless of what we all think, one thing I can tell you that I 100% believe, and I would lay money on this, is one, this is not going to be the new norm for Warner Brothers, because the blowback that they're getting now and what they're going to continue to get is crazy. And two, like I said, budget's going to drop significantly if they go straight to streaming. It's just going to happen. It has to. So we're not going to. I
honestly wouldn't be too terribly surprised if April, May, maybe even June of 2021, Warner Brothers like, hey, so I know we said that we'd put these on streaming, but and then give like an extended window for theaters only release.
Well, and you know what I did?
Wouldn't be surprised.
You know what I did have this thought about too, and this comes out of nowhere except me being up too late at night thinking about this, is down the line they could do an extended cut of the movies, for example, or offer some additional content that's only in the theater, and that might help appease AMC or Regal. And that's something that could happen.
Well, and then it would also be able to push it past all the clutter that's about to be coming in.
Yeah, and the clutter that you're talking about, though, I don't think that's going to happen. I think so many things are going to get pushed and moved. Yeah, a lot of stuff is already getting pushed and moved too. I don't think
you'll never be able to catch up.
Oh, I'll be able to catch up, baby.
They'll never be able to catch. Then why start production on new stuff when you have all this?
Because you got to be ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, after they also had like several. A lot of these studios had months of which they had to slow down production. So yeah, sure. That while their production may have started up faster than the rest of the country's ability to go see these movies, I think it's fine if they just spread out the release of everything they have coming up next to just take a few years.
Well, the perfect example is the next Fast and the Furious movie. They didn't say, oh, we're going to come out in April of 2021 or whatever. They said, oh, no, we're coming out in 2022. They went ahead and pushed it 2 years, which is what I think you'll see happen. People, I mean, these studios are going to want to have a 2 or 3 or 4 week window of space to make that money. And no one's going to be in a rush to put out their big movies until summer, until after the vaccines start.
The thing I'm actually really curious on expecting is the turnaround for a lot of these big budget films starring a lot of the same people has been so quick over the last 10, 20 years that I wonder if they're going to like having a break. It's like, let's actually do this slower. Let's take our time so I can spend some time with my family.
The advantage for that in some respect is, like when you take Spider-Man, for example, eventually Tom Holland ages out if they're going to stay with this same sort of age telling this story. So, I mean, you could literally do another movie and have it in the can and spread this out over the next 2 or 3 or 4 years and have him still 24 years old when he's actually almost 30, So, I mean, there are definitely advantages to it. But remember, all of these studios are also producing stuff other places. They're producing TV also. I mean, Universal has a TV side, and of course we know Warner Brothers does. They're all producing stuff other places. So it's not like they're just sitting stagnant doing nothing. It's just this certain set of movies has to wait till the right time to come out.
Can't wait for Quiet Place 2.
Oh see, now I even forgot that was coming.
A Quiet Place 2 is a perfect example of a movie that needs to be seen in the theater. If it's anything like the first one,
where Dwayne Johnson's only in one movie.
Oh, that was not going to happen. That is never going to happen.
I think that 2020. I think it happened.
Well, 2020. Yeah. Was he in anything this year?
I don't know if he was in a movie in 2020.
I don't know.
He has some special coming on because he had a float about him in the Macy's Thanksgiving.
But not in a movie, not in a theatrical film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or two films back to back that were meant to be theatrical that came out another way.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so here's one thing that I could appreciate that we have seen that would be cool is movies like Trolls World Tour, for example. That is a movie that never belonged in the theater to begin with.
Thank you.
If this whole thing,
did you watch it?
No, I watched trailers for it, and I could tell you.
Wait a minute. Did you watch Twirls World Tour?
Oh Jesus, here it
Did
comes.
any of you watch Twirls World?
No, I don't want to waste my time or money.
First off, you can't say, unless you've watched it, you can't say it didn't belong in the theaters because that is a typical child movie that does come out, and it was damn good.
And children don't belong in theaters. Just
children do family movies all the time. You make good money.
Family movies are the first things to go straight to VOD.
Exactly. That gets to my point. Either if it's something like that, or if it's a mid to lower tier film that maybe it wasn't supposed to be. Like, I haven't seen it yet, but my understanding is that Antebellum is that it was supposed to be a much better film than it ended up being. Send that fucker to streaming. It doesn't have to go to the theater. Let's put the good stuff in the theaters.
Then all you're going to get is Marvel movies. And
Not true. I mean, yeah, not true. If we keep the theaters running in some similar fashion to the way they are now, we'll still get those A24 movies.
I mean, because Antebellum was a decent movie. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard
really bad.
I heard that too, but I Nathan liked it, and I've seen some other people that liked it too. But my point.
Honestly, I would feel like parents would be more on board with having most of the family movies going straight to VOD instead of theaters, because if you're only paying for one version of the movie or just a subscription, you don't have to buy, 4 child's tickets and then, Mommy, I want popcorn. Well, I want soda. Well, I want candy. Well, I want nachos. And then
but you realize you probably wouldn't have had the love for theaters or going to the movies if it wasn't for being able to go see movies as a child.
Incorrect, because my mom wouldn't take me to shit growing up.
And I was gonna say, I don't think Zach got to go to much either.
Always like
I didn't get to go to movies for.
My joy of going to the movies happened to be Harry Potter, the Jurassic Park sequels. Stuff like that, being able to go, that's where love. Pinocchio was the first Disney movie that I saw in theaters.
See, I can't comment.
The first movie I saw in theaters was Hunchback of Notre Dame, and then the next movie I saw in theaters was Saving Private Ryan. That is how long it took.
It doesn't matter
when, but you were young when you went.
I was going to say, it doesn't matter what your first movies were. It matters how old you were when you saw them.
Yeah.
I
was 7, and my mom took me out of the theater halfway through because I was crying, and I don't blame her.
No, that's the right thing to do. See, I can't be involved in this because the earliest movie that I remember seeing in the theater was The Town That Dreaded Sundown, a horror movie, and I was like 7 years old or something. My parents were ridiculous.
But your love of theaters started in your adolescence. So
my love of theaters for me really started when I was a teenager.
But
I was about to say more so when I was a teenager.
But you cannot stop children movies or movies geared towards a teenage audience even.
Well, yeah, but I expect teenagers to behave themselves in the theater, or at least get kicked out if they're not.
Yeah, I think teenager tends to be really the real age, because it's also the time you get to go without your parents.
Yeah,
it's like when you get to make an active choice of watching a movie.
If you have to be supervised by an adult for a majority of your activities, you do not belong in a dark room with sticky
But even
floors.
teenagers that go to theaters now, they do not act like you're expected.
Okay.
When you were a teenager, I guarantee you did not sit there.
We're gonna
You probably
go for 3 hours
laughed out loud,
tonight.
you probably talked.
Yep.
You probably did all sorts of it. We've only been on an hour and 34 minutes. We've done
Right?
That's too long.
Bitch.
That's too long.
and we started 10 minutes after.
We
so
do
an
have a
hour-
puppy to get
That's
to.
true. That's true. All right. So I guess I don't know. We got this. I'm glad we spent the entire show talking about this, though, because I think it is super important in film, which is the core of what we do, and it's going to have impact over the next forever. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. My tradition has always been, in my family, we do Christmas on Christmas Eve. And then I have nothing to do on Christmas Day, so I used to go spend the day in the theater. So unfortunately, that's not happening this year because of the Rona. So I'll be watching Wonder Woman here at home, I guess. So at least there's something to do. So I'm thankful for that. Does anybody have any final comment before we move on to the next thing?
Nope.
Oh, thank God.
Blu-rays.
Nothing
Thank
on
God.
that, but watching on TV, definitely go check out The Crown, check out Virgin River. I've heard to watch Big Sky. So there's plenty of stuff to watch on TV.
We're going to talk about Mandalorian next week. We're going to talk about next week, whatever.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
we're
about
gonna-
what's on Blu-ray this week.
Yeah. So what we're going to talk about this week is The Godfather Coda is out. That is the re-edit of The Godfather. I have no investment because I really don't care for that movie. I know that's
3.
yeah. So Yellowstone season 3 is out. I actually kind of want to see this show. I hear really good things. Total Recall is out in 4K. I've heard the 4K is okay.
That's the
Original Arnold Schwarzenegger one. Yeah, I heard generally it's a good 4K. Yeah, it's generally good. I think it struggles a little bit with all the red in a couple places. Collateral's out in 4K. That one I hear is okay for an upscale.
Shot in 1080p.
Right.
Yeah.
But parts of it were shot on film still.
That's such a good movie, though.
It is so good.
Yeah.
Possessor Uncut is out in 4K. Be careful purchasing this one if you want to buy it, because if you buy it from Walmart, you're getting the cut version. You'll know because Possessor Uncut is a yellow slip cover.
Really?
The cut version has a red slip cover. Versus Ultimate Special Edition is out. Highly recommended. And then My Science Project, which is an old school.
Decade.
Yeah. There you go. That's it.
Recommend Possessor.
Recommend Possessor big time.
Even though
I would
need to see it again
recommend
without
Collateral
falling asleep.
and Versus on that list.
Collateral versus Possessor and Total Recall. Those are the movies to pick up if you're buying stuff. Those are all good choices. The Total Recall, Zach, I was shocked to hear this, has new documentaries made for the 4K.
What?
Yeah. That's something you don't see from big studios too much anymore. They just repurpose the old stuff, but they did some new documentaries. So I'm excited to get a look at that
All
one.
right.
Mm-hmm. Nico, do you have comics for us?
Comics this week. We've got some books for DC. We have Dark Knight's Death Metal, the last stories of the DC universe, as the Death Metal storyline is wrapping up. They put together an anthology book going over possible ending stories of the DC universe. New title over at Image Comics, Homesick Pilots #1, which is billing itself as Power Rangers meets The Shining. In the summer of 1994, a haunted house walks across California. Yes, a haunted house walks across the state.
Nice.
Over at IDW, Lock and Key, Sandman, Hell and Gone, #0. So we talked about this before a few months ago. Lock and Key, which you may know from the Netflix show, and Sandman, the Neil Gaiman awesome comic, are making a crossover, and this is the start of it. And then over in Marvel, if you're a fan of J.J. Abrams, the J.J. Abrams and Son written Spider-Man miniseries comes to a close with issue 5 of 5.
Nice. So if you want to see Nico's write-ups, those are over on CultureSmash.tv, plus some cool cover art.
Yep.
I want to see this Lock and Key book. This sounds really good to me. It sounds really interesting. All right, so we have been going an hour and a half, and I haven't had dinner. I'm starving, and you guys got to let a puppy out. So let's bring this baby to an end. Nico, where do we find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Nico Scream. If you're watching video, you can see it on the screen below my name, NIKOSCREAM.
Tina?
You can find me Cheddar Popper on
Oh, there she went. She gone. She gone, baby. She gone. See, that's some Zoom stuff right there. She gone. Nathan, where do we find you?
Find me on Instagram, Nate_R_70. You can find Tina at Cheddar Popper and the Shadow Pupper, or Tina's dog Shadow, the pupper.
Am I back?
Oh my God. a solid 40 seconds.
I was screwing that up for you. I was trying to cover for you, girl, but you take it away.
No, I was sitting there watching Steven just go, and I'm like, okay, it must be me because everybody else is just doing fine.
Yeah.
But CHEDRPOPPR on Insta, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, and Steam. And as always, follow the.shadow.pupper on Instagram. Also, starting January 4th, join me for my 2021 Pop Sugar Reading Challenge on Cheddar Popper on Instagram.
What do you have on Twitch? What are you streaming?
Right now, nothing. But I do some.
Did it just lose it? Oh,
it just. Oh.
I moved my notebook and it muted myself.
And it did it again.
I can't even. Nathan, did you get your contact stuff out?
What?
Did you get your contact stuff out? Did you get it out?
People know where to find me. Just look me up. I'm that homo. So.
It doesn't say that homo on Dead by Daylight, which is where we're still playing.
No, but you can hear that homo on Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, and Zach is lame because he never plays with us anymore.
Neither.
I haven't played Dead by Daylight in months.
Oh, we still play 3 or 4 nights a week. We got a new killer.
Like I know there's a new killer and all that.
Yeah.
So that new killer is something else. It's a conjoined twin, and the little baby jumps off of the body and comes at you. It's pretty scary.
I bet you love that little tiny baby coming for you, and you're like, what happened?
Well,
I'm not a baby. I'm a tumor.
Right? What's creepy about it is you hear it going, the whole time it's running and chasing after you. It's real creepy.
And it lunges after you.
Oh, so it sounds like me running.
All right, Zach, where do we find you on the internet?
You can find me. I am on Instagram. I'm Master of the Matrix 91. You can also find me on Steam, Discord, Call of Duty Warzone, Phasmophobia, I think 7 Days to Die. I'm a dangerous mutant.
Yeah, we saw you playing 7 Days to Die the other night.
Oh, dude, it's so addictive. It's like that is a time sink.
So Zach, you have time to play 7 Days to Die, but you can't type your Christmas gift guide?
Right? Right? Bam!
Sorry, what? Wait, hold on. What was
Bam!
that? You came in and out. I didn't hear
No,
that.
he didn't.
Anyway, we're going to move on.
I saw your
7 Days to Die is like really incredible how you'll just be like, okay, 5 minutes, and then like 5 hours go by.
So none of that is going to matter after Thursday, sir. Because Thursday is Cyberpunk 2077. And
actually, it's today. It's at 6 p.m. today.
Well, Thursday
because
for me.
Steam crashed at 6 p.m. when it launched.
I should be getting mine on Thursday. You know me. I got to have that physical copy.
Well, I get you. It's just it's out now.
Yeah. So find me at CultureSmash on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me Off the Shelf Movie Night on YouTube, and then CultureSmash on Dead by Daylight, and soon to be on Cyberpunk 2077.
You're gonna make your penis very large.
Oh, can I? Because
Yeah.
I will.
You can.
I will.
You could have like a male body and a vagina,
Big
or a
Yeah, I can do that.
You can say how long your dick is. You can say how big your nipples are. Like
Oh,
everything is
I'ma have
customizable.
rocket
You
nipples.
want heart-shaped pubic hair? Go right ahead.
So
Can I
that
make it
means,
an elephant with the trunk being the dick.
yeah, that sounds good.
And the penis like flops and everything.
And it's I'm not gonna say that.
You
I
can
was
be
gonna say something.
circumcised or uncircumcised. It's up to you.
This seems like a lot.
It is a lot.
This seems like a lot. But
Yeah, at
Thank
6
you
p.m.
for the
people were
brisk
logging on, and it
overview.
was amazing to view.
I'll be reporting back next week on that, how that goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess if nobody has anything else, we'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.